Whether you're looking for more print and binding options, higher quality materials, wider distribution, or heaven forbid your KDP account got terminated, the Kindle Direct publishing platform is not your only self-publishing option, even for low-content books like journals or planners. Today, I'm going to take you through a comprehensive, easy-to-follow breakdown of 3 of the best print-on-demand KDP alternatives for your low-content books, and why you might want to think about using them in the first place. I'm Rachel Harrison-Sund, and I help people just like you build and scale a sustainable online business to 6 figures and beyond. Now, really, there are about 4 main reasons why you might consider publishing your low-content books somewhere other than KDP. You want wider distribution, so the ability to sell your book on other platforms, as well as maybe your own site. You want print options that KDP doesn't offer, like coil bound, linen covers, foil stamping. You want higher quality materials, like heavier paperweights. Or you've had the misfortune of having your KDP account terminated, so really you've got no other option than to publish somewhere else. Now, unless you've got several $1,000s to spend on a minimum print run and a garage or an attic or some extra space to house your inventory, you are going to want to go with a print-on-demand option. Now, with a print-on-demand option, there's going to be no upfront investment, no inventory, no customer service, and it's pretty fast, pretty easy, and pretty efficient. Now, I'm currently playing around with some ideas for a new low-content book, and this is going to be my very first book that I plan on publishing under my actual name. So up until now, I've always published under various brand names, but I'd like to finally create something with my own personal branding. But I don't want to do it through KDP for a couple of different reasons. So firstly, I would like to use coil binding for this specific project, and potentially something like a linen wrap, which is not available through KDP. Secondly, I would like the ability to sell directly from my website rather than linking off to Amazon. My main criteria for choosing a KDP alternative self-publishing platform are: the platform has to be print on demand, I do not want to have to invest in a minimum print run, and I certainly don't want to be storing inventory anywhere in my house, and the platform has to give me the option of selling directly from my website. Now, as we go through these 3 alternatives, I'm going to share an example of what a typical book would cost you to print per unit, as well as the corresponding list price that you will need to price your book at, assuming a $2 royalty. Now, I chose $2 because that is generally what I've always aimed to generate per unit sold for all of my previously published low-content books. Now, the reason for that is because $2 allowed me to generate pretty healthy royalties without affecting my ability to remain competitive in terms of the list price of my book. So I know in the beginning I told you that with the book I'm currently looking to create, I want to use coil binding, which isn't something that is available on KDP, but I still wanted to, just for comparison's sake, show you sort of an average list price and printing cost between all of these different alternatives with KDP. For this example book, we're going to use a 6-inch by 9-inch paperback with 120 pages, perfect bound, black and white interior, printed on 50-pound white paper. Now, published through KDP, this book is going to have a print cost of $2.44 US dollars per unit. And if we want to ensure that royalty of $2, meaning we'll get paid $2 for every unit sold, we're going to have to list our book at $7.40 US. This is our baseline, so let's go ahead and compare our options. Now, the first option we're going to look at is Lulu. So Lulu has a huge array of options, including print books. You can do magazines, wall calendars, comic books, graphic novels, photo books, notebooks, yearbooks, and even ebooks. But print books are the only product that you are going to be able to sell through Amazon using their distribution network. Now, for Lulu's paperback options, Lulu offers coil bound, perfect bound, and saddle stitch for their binding options. Their hardcover books come in case wrap, which is basically using this printed sheet of paper adhered to the front and back covers, linen wrap in a variety of colors, dust jackets, and even foil stamping on the spine, which they offer in black, gold, and white. Their paperweight is 60 pound, which is an improvement over KDP's 50 pound stock, and their covers are available in matte, and in glossy. Now for sales and distribution options, you can publish your finished book on the Lulu bookstore, which frankly isn't super appealing as I don't imagine that the reach is particularly wide. But they do have a global distribution option, which means that you will be able to sell your book on Amazon through Ingram, as well as through 40,000 other online retailers. Now we're going to talk about which products you can actually sell via this network in a minute. You can also choose to sell your book on your own site using Shopify or Wix or WooCommerce, or by using their print API. So overall, what are the pros of using Lulu to publish your low content book? Number one, you can sell your books directly from your own website, which can be really great if you're building a brand and you want to include other products that you can't currently sell through KDP, like calendars or card decks or even t-shirts or other types of merch. You also have access to different and higher quality cover and binding options that are not available through KDP, like coil bound, linen covers, and foil stamping. Lulu will assign you a free ISBN if you create a book that's eligible for global distribution. Alternatively, you can always buy your own. The Lulu Global Distribution Network makes your book available for purchase on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and other online retail sites. But there are some definite cons to publishing through Lulu. So if you want to sell your book through their global distribution network with the aim to sell on Amazon, you are going to have to use eligible book sizes and eligible bookbinding types, because if somebody buys your book on Amazon, it's actually going to be Amazon's printers that print your book. So that means you're not going to be able to use their premium black and white interior ink. You're not going to be able to use their coil binding. There's going to be less size options to choose from. Now, one way to get around this is to order your books in bulk and sell them as an Amazon seller. But this, of course, is not very appealing if you're publishing low content books at scale and then you're introducing inventory and all of those hassles that come along with it. Now, of course, you can just choose any of the premium options and then just sell your books through your own website, which is probably what I would do. Now, another con, which is only relevant if you're publishing at scale, is that when selling through that global distribution network, you always have to order a print proof, which of course can become very costly and very time-consuming at scale. Also, retailer approval can take up to 8 weeks, which is a really long time. I've also heard complaints about Lulu's shipping time. And then finally, probably the biggest drawback of all is that there is a retail markup on all the books sold through the global distribution network, meaning that you'll have to price your books higher to make the same amount of profit if you want your book to be available on sites like Amazon. And this is not cheap. So Amazon charges fees of $1.35 per book sold, plus a markup of 15% on your list price. So this is how that would play out using the example book we established right at the beginning as our baseline, modifying a couple of the specs slightly, just according to what Lulu offers. So Lulu's book is a 6x9 trade paperback, 120 pages, perfect bound, standard black and white ink, printed on 60-pound white uncoated paper with a matte cover. The print cost is going to be $4.57, and with our $2 royalty factored in, the list price, if we sold our book only on the Lulu bookstore, would be $7.07, which is actually pretty comparable to Amazon. But if we chose to use the global distribution network, factoring in Amazon's fees for the privilege, our list price shoots up to $14.15, almost double the price on Amazon KDP, which is a huge yikes. So with all of this in mind, who is Lulu best suited for really? So Lulu's a great option for anyone who wants premium print-on-demand options like coil binding, linen covers, foil stamping, and who don't mind selling only on their own website. Or anyone that's happy with their limited printing options when it comes to a wider distribution network, including Amazon. But it's really not going to be a good option for anyone who's concerned about the high list price of using global distribution. And it's probably not a good option for anyone who wants to publish at scale, meaning dozens or more different books. Next up, we're looking at Blurb. So with Blurb, you can create print books, photo books, lay flat books, magazines, notebooks, journals, wall art, but again, only print books are an option if you plan to sell on Amazon without ordering inventory and opening up a seller account. Now, Blurb doesn't offer any fancy binding options for their paperback books, but hardcovers come in image wrap, which is essentially the same thing as case wrap that we talked about earlier, as well as the option of a dust jacket. The paperweight is £50 for black and white ink, which is the same as KDP, but their color options come in £70 as well. Now, covers are only available in glossy for paperback, matte for image wrap hardcover, and glossy for the dust jackets. For sales and distribution options, Blurb supports sales through their own bookstore, just like with Lulu, your own site via Blurb's print API, and again, global distribution through Ingram's global retail network, which includes major retailers like Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Now, the pros of publishing through Blurb are that you can sell your book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and thousands of other retailers through Ingram's global retail network. They also offer free ISBNs, but only if you use their BookWrite software or their InDesign Lightroom or PDF to Book plugins to create your book files. And their BookWrite design software and design templates are available at no cost, with additional options for using InDesign or Lightroom plugins. Now, for cons, Blurb doesn't offer coil binding or premium cover options like linen or foil stamping. The available sizes for print books are pretty limited, and the paperweight for black and white prints is lower compared to the other platforms that we've talked about. Also, it can take up to 2 weeks for your book to appear on Amazon, and the fees that you're going to be paying to use the global distribution network are high, just like with Lulu, ranging from 22% to 55% of the list price. So let's see how our example book compares. So for a 6x9 inch trade paperback with 120 pages, perfect bound in standard black and white with 50-pound white uncoated paper and a glossy cover, the print cost is $9.83. To achieve that $2 profit, the list price needs to be between $14.43 and $18.33. And I say between because Blurb doesn't seem to offer any sort of pricing calculator on their website to get exact figures, which I do not like at all. So who would Blurb be best suited for? So just like Lulu, Blurb could be a good option for anyone who wants to sell on their own website or wants the option to sell through their distribution network, including Amazon. But it's not a good fit if you're unwilling to hike your prices up to account for distribution fees, meaning it's also not a good option if you intend to publish at scale. So last up, let's look at Ingram Spark. Now, unlike Lulu or Blurb, they don't offer anything other than books. And while their options are pretty limited, they are higher quality than KDP's. Their paperback books are perfect bound, while their hardcover options include case laminate and jacketed case laminate, meaning they come with a dust jacket. Now, for paperweight, they've got a 50-pound option and a 70-pound option. And for covers, they offer matte and glossy for paperback, and matte, glossy, digital cloth, which is kind of like this cloth-like look, and textured for hardcover with a dust jacket. Now, for sales and distribution, Ingram has this huge global distribution network of 40,000 retailers, including Amazon, and it is the same network that both Lulu and Blurb use when you publish with them. Now, one of the main advantages of using Ingram Spark is this wide distribution network. But the bigger advantage still is that because this network belongs to them, you don't have to pay the outrageous fees that come along with using the same network through Lulu or Blurb. Ingram Spark also offers free ISBNs. Their print costs are much lower than Blurb or Lulu, and their quality is higher than KDP. Now, for cons, Ingram Spark doesn't allow certain types of low-content books, like books with lots of blank pages, notebooks, journals, or mass-produced books that all have the same interior. Also, I've heard complaints about Amazon listing books as out of stock, even when they're available. Although I was on Ingram's website and they did address this, saying that they did a recent review and they indicated that 92% of their titles had really good availability messaging. Now, a final con is Ingram's revision fees. So after a 60-day period, they'll charge you $25 for any revisions that you make to your book. So back to our example book, for a 6x9 paperback with 120 pages, perfect bound in black and white with 50-pound white paper and a glossy cover, The print cost is $2.96. To get your $2 royalty, you'll need to set your list price to $5.01. So pricing wise, Ingram Spark is definitely your best option, better even than KDP. Now, who is Ingram Spark best for? I would say anyone who wants a wider distribution for their book and higher print quality. But it's not the best option for anyone who wants to sell on their own website, use options like coil binding, linen, gold foil, or anyone that wants to publish low content books like notebooks or simple journals. Now, there are a couple other notable print-on-demand publishers that I looked at that didn't make the cut. First, Draft Digital. In the end, they didn't really seem conducive to low content publishing at all because you first need to create an ebook, then you got to convert it to print through their D2D print option. Second was Barnes & Noble Press, but they don't really have any distribution outside of their immediate network, and you can't sell off your own website without linking back to their online store. Now, this might not be an issue for you, so they're worth checking out if you want to find out more. Now, generally speaking, the people who are going to benefit the most from these particular KDP alternatives are anyone that wants higher end options, people who want the option of selling their books on their own website, and those who really aren't looking to create and sell low content books at scale. Now, if you're just getting started with publishing low content books like journals and planners and more, and you've decided that you want to take advantage of KDP's lower costs and opportunities for publishing at scale in order to generate passive income, download my free guide, 3 Steps to Publishing Your First Low Content Book in Less Than a Day. You can find that link down in the description below. I've also put together an easy to navigate downloadable PDF chart that includes everything we covered today, just in case you want to review any of this information in order to decide where would make the most sense for you to publish your low content books. And I've left a link to that down below as well. Next up, check out these 10 self-publishing mistakes to avoid when you're publishing your books on Amazon KDP. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.